This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. This week's episode is sponsored by Blue Apron. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping, by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. New episodes of MuggleCast are made possible thanks to listeners like you. Please visit patreon.com/MuggleCast to support the show and help us grow. In exchange, you'll receive exclusive benefits, including an ad-free version of our podcast. Welcome to episode 308 of MuggleCast. Happy New Year, Micah and Eric.
2017.
Happy New Year.
Entering what I believe is our 12th year, calendar year, with MuggleCast. We started in 2005, so...
We did.
Wow. It feels like just yesterday we were starting episode 1.
That's exactly what you sounded like.
You just play a clip of episode 1 of
I know, yes. Beware of spoilers and Half-Blood Prince.
I've decided that our show was the bookish preteen and not like the annoying preteen, or is now the bookish preteen.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to keep his head down, his or her to head down and get like homework done.
I don't think Eric or Micah's voice has changed over the course of this show, but mine did.
Mine was higher. Micah was already well past puberty.
And we were still in the throngs of puberty.
Yeah. That voice is Selena. Welcome back to the show, Selena. It's good to have you as always.
Speaking of puberty.
Host of, what? Okay. Not touching that. Host of Hypable's Hype, a fandom podcast that Selena does weekly with a few of Hypable's finest writers and podcasters. So we are going to talk about a few interesting stories today. The show kind of focuses on J.K. Rowling's new website. We'll get into this a little more later, but it reminded me of the good old days with her old website, not just because it looks like her old website, but she launched it around Christmas time, which is when she used to drop some good bombshells on her classic website that we all used to love poking around. A couple updates on our Patreon front real quick. We are going to have some announcements on that front soon. Some people have been wondering about a $10 level, and we're going to do that. We have our benefits all together. We're just finalizing a few things, so in the next few weeks you can look forward to learning about that. New in 2017, no matter what you pledge, you're going to have access to ad-free MuggleCast. This year we are going to be sponsored by Blue Apron on this public feed, and I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. But patrons will be able to listen to the show ad-free, and that was something that we absolutely wanted to do if we were going to bring ads back to this show. So patrons will be able to enjoy that as well. More information can be found on patreon.com/MuggleCast, and we appreciate everybody's support over there. So, I have to start off with a bit of a surprise story for everybody except for Selena.
I can't wait.
So, every year on Hypable, we do a Secret Santa amongst the writers. And, this year, one of our writers, and also a MuggleCast listener, by the way, Kendra, she had me for Secret Santa. So I get home after Christmas and I open up her gift. And I wish somebody was filming me as I opened this because I was literally screaming for 10 minutes in shock.
Was it a vibrating broomstick?
No, it was not. No, but it is a reference to this.
Close.
It is a reference to the show. Kendra got me a published edition of my Cursed Child fan fiction, Never Sever Us.
What?
Yes, it is hardback,
cool.
Green cover. It's signed by James Potter within. It says Scorvus Forever.
Oh my god.
I was screaming looking at this. I'm going to post pictures on the MuggleCast website if you want to check it out. It just feels amazing to be a published author. At the back of it, it has a phrase.
Are you going to sell this now? Are you going to become a New York Times bestseller?
Yeah.
I'm thinking so. It's just so wonderful to be a published author for a project that's so close to my heart. It's just so well done. Even in the back, it has a praise for Never Sever Us section, and she took some of the comments from the Hypable article.
Oh my god.
Printed them in the back.
That is brilliant.
She didn't include any of the negative comments. I kind of wish she did, but
Yeah.
Other than that, it's perfect.
Fanfic ever.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It was like the best gift I could ever ask for.
That sounds amazing. Shout out to Kendra. Holy crap.
Yeah, very well thought out. James is pointing out in the Patreon chat that Mike has got no excuse not to read it on the show now.
He needs a physical copy.
Yeah, I'm
got to work her magic.
Oh, you're gonna send it? Okay, I was gonna say.
I'll tell
it's
you what.
It's on the internet, isn't it?
It is, but you want a physical copy to read from. I know you want to take it away.
Well, hold on. You need to sign it though, Andrew.
I will sign it for you. Absolutely.
Personalized.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean. Okay.
Can I have a signed first edition by Andrew Sims?
First edition.
I don't send me one too.
I like James Potter. I need it signed by Andrew.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's gonna be worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Kenny is also asking when can we get a copy. I don't think we're actually going to be publishing multiple copies. The thought of having multiple physical copies of this out there is certainly an enticing idea to me, but I don't know. I'll have to ask Kendra where she got it printed.
We'll have to think about this.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had a very exciting couple weeks. I finally tried hot butterbeer at Universal Hollywood.
Oh, finally.
Oh, cool.
And it was actually really good. I liked it a lot.
Right.
It reminded me of hot chocolate, actually. But, Eric, have you had it yet or no?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I keep raving about it. I call it the best drink they serve, and it's the other thing. Definitely had it. I'm so glad you got it. I just love that on Twitter, the first response to your tweet was, did you pay for parking?
I know. Everybody was asking that. And the answer is no, I did not pay for parking. I stood my ground. I barricaded. I drove my car through the pace style thing. The pay, whatever you want to. No, my friend paid for parking. That's the only reason I went.
So why do you say chocolate, hot chocolate? Because it's on one hand, it's not chocolatey at all, and then in addition, there's a wide range for our generation going to Starbucks all the time. A wide range of hot beverages that are probably closer to the actual taste of like a cinnamony, like a, not that it's even cinnamon, but why do you say hot chocolate?
I don't know. I had two of them and they just reminded me, it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And of course it's sweet. And, I ended up buying 5 of them. Not all for me, but
I was going to say,
I was going to say, yeah, you must have been on a sugar high.
I did have 2 of them and yeah, they were basically meals for me. But I have video. I'm going to post
Butterbeer diet.
Patreon as well. Yeah, Butterbeer diet. And, yeah, it was good. So I'm glad that chapter of my life is now over. I know everybody was very anxious for me to enjoy some hot butterbeer.
So you won't be going back anytime soon. Is that fair to say?
Probably not. But one last thing related to Universal. So I was there, I think it was January 3rd. And by the way, it always amazes me how many diehard Harry Potter fans are there. You see so many people walking around in their own cloaks and all decked out in their Harry Potter merchandise, and just like people are wearing like the complete house collection of warm weather gear, like Hufflepuff hat, gloves, scarf. Like everybody's just so passionate, and it's such a nice reminder every time I go there of how much people really love Harry Potter. But I've been wanting to buy one of these. They have these great sweaters that just say a house name across the front. And it's got the house crest. And they're kind of like these oversized sweaters, and they're really popular at the parks. Everybody buys them. They're hot sellers. And I think they're only available at the parks. So I've been wanting to get one for a while, but it was $60. And I'm like, oh God, $60 for a sweater. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. So finally, I'm like, all right, new year, new me. I'm going to buy this sweater because my pass expires next month. So this is going to be like one of my last chances to get it. And I picked up the Gryffindor one. I was going to buy Gryffindor. And then I was thinking, I have so much Gryffindor stuff. And this just feels so standard to me, so predictable to buy a Gryffindor sweater. Like, everybody has Gryffindor. I want to be different. Oh, no. And somebody who was with me was like, yeah, I know what you mean. And then right next to the Gryffindor one is the Slytherin one. And I'm thinking, oh man, it just looks so cool. It's green.
You didn't. Don't go over to the dark side, Andrew.
Hashtag Wormtaily.
And my friend's like, yeah, exactly, yeah. And my friend's like, oh, and it's hipster too. I'm like, oh, that is such a good point. And I'm seriously sitting there holding both. I'm like, maybe I'll just buy both so I don't have to pick. And then it hits me. I'm like, oh, Albus and Scorpius are Slytherin. This is it. And that was the nail in the coffin. I was like, that's it. I'm Slytherin now. And I bought it and I converted. New year, new me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That really is a new you. That's
I'm
crazy.
identifying with Slytherin now. I'm just going full Slytherin.
Gosh. See, they sort too soon. Dumbledore was right.
It's just time. Like, Pottermore originally put me in Gryffindor, which I was pleased by because I had always identified as Gryffindor. And then the new quiz put me in Ravenclaw, and I didn't like that at all. And now I'm just deciding on my own. I'm Slytherin, so...
That's great, Andrew. Good
Thank
for you.
Thank you.
Very proud.
I blame the butterbeer.
Yeah. You were feeling really good. You got a lot of confidence that you don't normally have, and you went and did it. Ugh, butterbeer.
Yeah, exactly. Jennifer is supporting me in the patron chat. She says, Slytherin is the best house. You made a good choice.
Hey, Slytherin deserves some love. It's true. But
my photo was a big hit on Instagram, by the way. I got 534 likes on this photo of me holding up my new Slytherin sweater.
Holy crap. People really do love that merch. And I'm sure you as well.
Yeah,
I think I liked it.
I did too.
I don't know.
I commented on it. You know why I commented? I think I told you this before, right?
You said you asked who paid for parking.
I did. No, I did ask you for parking, but I comment on your Instagram post just so I can get more followers.
Oh. I'm blocking you.
That's our Slytherin thing to do.
More as well.
But I encourage all you to reconsider your house this year.
Wow. I like that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, look inside yourself and see if it is a new you.
Yeah.
That's great.
We just had a full year of Harry Potter fun with Cursed Child and Fantastic Beasts. Think about it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I told you I was, when I did the Pottermore quiz, I was a hat stall. So I got a chance to choose between the two houses.
And what were the two houses again?
Ravenclaw, and which I've pretty much identified with from the time of the books, and then Slytherin. So maybe now I need to go over the dark side as well.
Don't.
Well, you have about a month and a half left before my pass runs out. I can get you a discount on one of those Slytherin sweaters if you want it.
All right. I have to figure out a way to get out to California.
Yeah.
Wait, so does that mean we have all four houses represented here? Selena, what house are you?
I go back and forth, Gryffindor or Hufflepuff.
Yep, so do I. And so if Mike is Ravenclaw and Andrew's Slytherin, then we have all four houses represented.
Perfect. Woo. Another reason I'm glad I bought the sweater.
That's a very Hufflepuff thing to do of you, Eric. It really fits. Right.
Oh, cool. Well,
a lot of people, by the way, Pottermore introduced those new, like, Facebook cover art things. Have you seen them for your house?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's been switching to that. Did you do that, Micah?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm not the best example.
There are some photoshopped ones you can do that are halfways, like Raven Puff and stuff I was seeing my friends do. It's like, that's true. There's no truer Harry Potter fan than one who's like, no, this is nice. I see what it's doing here, the official stuff, but it doesn't quite fit me perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fix it so it does.
Yeah. So we're going to get to some news, and then we're going to talk about, at greater length, J.K. Rowling's new website, specifically the questions she just answered on her new website to celebrate the launch of it.
Yeah.
But first, MuggleCast, like I said, does have a sponsor for 2017, Blue Apron. Do you guys like to cook?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Well, wow. I'm glad you answered that way, because I don't either until now, and I'm dead serious about this. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. They can be delivered to 99% of the continental U.S. So Blue Apron, what they do is they ship you ingredients and cooking instructions for 3 meals a week. I received my first Blue Apron box a few days ago. It really is amazing. All the ingredients you need, 3 meals, they come right to your door, still cold. I open it up. It's like I have a fridge delivered to my apartment. Ooh. I made guacamole burgers for the first time in my life. And I'm not talking about just heating something up. I made the guacamole, which I've never done before in my life. I made the burgers, which I've never done before in my life. And I made fries with potatoes I peeled myself. I felt like I was like an In-N-Out or like a Burger King or something. Yeah. This is the thing. Blue Apron makes it so easy. They give you everything you need, plus easy to follow instructions. I do not cook, and I did it myself. You look like a professional cook all of a sudden. And I'm loving it because new year, new me. Slytherin cook, you know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm becoming a cook
great.
thanks to Blue Apron.
Did you wear a blue apron when you?
I did not. No, that is just the name.
You know what you need? You need a Slytherin apron for when you make your blue apron food.
All right, Micah, well, get on that. Find me one. I will cook in nothing but my Slytherin apron. So we're going to be talking about them a lot in the year ahead, but for now, you can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping. They will send you a week's worth of food for free. You get the fresh ingredients. They send you, for example, the guacamole burger. They send you the avocado, the onions, everything you need, the limes. It's really incredible. So your first 3 meals free, blueapron.com/MuggleCast. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/MuggleCast. Blue Apron is a better way to cook. And for some of us, the only way I'll be able to cook. Thanks to them for their support. Let's get to some news now. So J.K. Rowling, should we talk about, well, let's save that since that's going to be our main discussion.
Her tweet thing.
Let's talk about, her tweet. The Grindelwald tweet. Somebody tweets her in the middle of December. What did Graves Grindelwald mean when he said, "My vision showed only the child's immense power"? Is he a seer or was he lying? And J.K. Rowling responds with a tweet that doesn't really answer it and just confuses us further. She says, he is a seer and he was lying.
Huh.
So
somebody asked the bingo bonus question.
Yeah. So it makes sense he isn't that he is a seer because that was proven by what he said. But why was he lying to Credence?
Maybe he saw something else. You know, it said only the child's immense power, and he probably saw some other important plot thing that he hasn't revealed yet.
What if he saw himself controlling it or himself wielding it? That would be, and then all he can see then at that point is the Obscurus's form, or something, and not who it actually was. So it preserves the reveal, while at the same time, that whole relationship between Graves and Grindelwald and Credence, it was about manipulation, and I'm not surprised he was lying. What I am surprised about is, this fan, Shayliani at Parselmouth Lord was like, shot in the dark in the right direction, and calling him a seer, that's a word that J.K. Rowling agrees with. But all the seers that we know were in the Trelawney family.
I mean, there could be more. There's a whole entire room full of prophecies.
More, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Somebody in the Hypewell comment said, this is Embrace Your Boring. Good username. Funny, I figured from J.K. Rowling's tweet that she was referring to both characters, as in the real Graves is a seer and Grindelwald Graves was lying because Grindelwald is not a seer. So perhaps Grindelwald knew just enough about the Obscurus through other means and passed it off as a vision when he was impersonating Graves, because it prevents people asking too many questions should he be found out to be searching for the Obscurus.
Oh, I guess that's interesting. Because wouldn't they question why Graves had a vision?
Mm-hmm. And this was making me think about his final few words again. Shall we die just a little? At the end of the movie.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
It's like a song lyric to me.
Well, so what if that has to do with him seeing the future? Like, we're going to die just a little.
Yeah.
Shall we dance?
Shall
we die?
Well, that would completely go against what you just read from that commenter, because that would mean that Grindelwald is in fact a seer if this line is being attributed to him being able to see the future.
I think it is Grindelwald that's the seer, and I think that because it's such a cool dynamic to have your evil villain sort of have insight into his own future or mortality. I think that's a really cool edge that she didn't necessarily give Voldemort. I've talked before about how, she's going to want to, for writers' sake, for creativity and not to step on the toes of Voldemort, to make Grindelwald a different character. One who's obsessed not with immortality necessarily, but world domination through the span of his natural life. And if he can see the future, that's going to be an issue for Newt and anyone trying to stop him.
Yeah. Okay, well, something else that J.K. Rowling they kind of announced it, but not really. It was previously announced, but they shared a couple of new details. They revealed the covers for the new editions of Fantastic Beasts, which will be out in just about a little over a month. They're going to be out March 14th, 2017. Now, the news here is that they are including 6 beasts. We don't know what 6. We don't know if these were in the movie or not. But they're going to be 6, and then there's going to be that new foreword by Newt Scamander that was written by J.K. Rowling. And a new line of illustrations. So, cool. Yeah, yeah. I'm a little less excited now that there's only going to be 6 new creatures in here.
Yeah, I think there were at least 6 new ones in the movie. Well, and then actually there were some creatures that were in the book that were brought to life in the movie. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there are 6 new ones, I have a feeling at least one of them will be a creature that we still haven't seen on film, and that'll be very interesting. I think she'll probably definitely do the augury, but then again, I think that was also
right. I was going to say that. That wasn't the original book, but it would be really cool to see. Oh, I guess it's the ones that were in the book or were in the movie.
It just says 6 new ones, right? So it could be anything, right? Like,
well, no.
Definitely the augury. I'd be interested in comparing to see if she changes any of the details about any of the beasts that we've seen before.
Yeah.
If they have new illustrations, obviously the augury is relevant to Cursed Child, and maybe even Fantastic Beasts, I think, at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Just 6 new beasts. But what I'm looking most forward to is the forward by Newt Scamander, which in the original, he's
not really by Newt.
Yeah, it's Dumbledore, right?
What?
It's J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, but Dumbledore introduces, I think, the schoolbook version, if I'm remembering correctly.
And the other thing is that little author bio at the end where it says, upon successful graduation or completion of Hogwarts. So, and that kind of... Now, we know, thanks to leaks through Fantastic Beasts merchandise, that he didn't actually get expelled from Hogwarts. But I'm curious to see if any of that is going to be adjusted in light of what's been happening in the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. So the other thing I'll say... well, speaking of when the books are going to be released, I thought one of the questions to ask this group and even to those that are listening to the show is, do you feel as if a forward by Newt and 6 additional creatures is enough to go out and purchase Fantastic Beasts? And
yeah, take my money.
Really? No, I'm not going to buy
charity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These books are like $8. I mean, seriously, like
they are pretty cheap. So at least there's that. The
little ones are so cheap. You get a good deal on them.
Now, is it still for a charity?
Yeah, it's still for the same charity. I think the very same.
Yeah.
Comic Relief, as opposed to J.K. Rowling now has Lumos, of course, and I think that it's still. I think I read somewhere it's still benefiting Comic Relief. I could be wrong.
It sounds like the perfect thing to enter the bookstore for, page through it, and then walk out without purchasing it. Just because there's not a lot new to see.
You're just going to go and take screenshots with your phone.
Yeah, basically.
I will say, though, the Bloomsbury cover looks cool. The Scholastic cover, not so much.
Yeah, the Scholastic cover looks Mina Lima-y, the graphic designers of all the Harry Potter movies, which is fine. It just looks more adult. whereas the UK edition looks more kid-friendly.
As a dragon, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then just going off of Eric, I think you were kind of guessing earlier in terms of what the creatures maybe that get added to Fantastic Beasts. Somebody tweeted at J.K. Rowling and said, "Let me guess, Swooping Evil, Thunderbird, Wampus, Pugwudgie, Hornsook, and Obscurus," to which he responded, "and Obscurus isn't a creature." So that could be more for us to talk about at some future date.
But actually, I'm going to go, I love that. I doubt that she's going to do Wampus, Pugwudgie, and Thunderbird, and that she should. I doubt it. Because I think she's hightailing it away from America right now.
And that's all on Pottermore, I think, for a lot of people too.
Yeah, you're right.
Vijaya says, it's worth buying if it's for charity. That's a good point. Though Kenny says, probably not. I probably won't buy it. I'll look at the new info online.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Of course, it's great to buy for charity, but I don't know. I'm very sort of, if I own a book already, I'm not going to buy the same book with a different cover. I'm not. Like, no matter how pretty it is.
I'll donate my old copy to a book.
Yeah, that's much nicer than what I just said, but yeah.
So that's a no to the final edition of Cursed Child then, Selena.
Sorry, I laughed. Yes, that's a no.
Where is that?
I'm not buying. There's no way that could be any different.
I thought that new edition was supposed to be out, like, early this year.
God.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Amazon
January 8th. Where is it? Damn.
Oh, here we go.
No, but yeah, I mean, that would be interesting.
Now I'm very curious. Wouldn't it be funny if
picture book of Cursed Child I would buy.
Yeah,
picture book.
Because the staging is what's good. So.
Right.
I'm actually thinking that they're going to put a lot of photos in the final edition of Cursed Child.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope for anything like that. That would be.
They got to
really
do
nice.
something.
I won't
different.
buy that. I think that's the one thing I probably wouldn't buy a follow up to. Cursed Child.
It would be like the same
but that
book.
will be different, though, won't it? Because it'll be the revised edition, right? Like there will be more changes in the script.
Stuff they changed between. Have you guys seen it more than once? Have you gone back? And Selena, have you seen it again? Or
no?
I mean, I wonder if they really, it's just the lines that got changed between previews and live. The premiere.
I guess.
I don't think it'll be that many. You'll notice that many differences, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it's a book like the Hamilton book that they release with all the pictures and interviews and stuff like that, I would consider it because that is beautiful.
Maybe they'll secretly cancel it. Because I was in Barnes & Noble about a month ago, and they had a gigantic stack of Cursed Child books. And between the reviews and like they may have overprinted. Don't get me wrong, the book sold very well. We spoke on the last episode how it was the bestseller of 2016, but I feel like they have a ton of extra copies left over, and it's like, what's the point of printing a whole other edition so soon when so many copies still exist? I don't know. I just have a feeling we're not going to see it very soon because
a book is the complete wrong format for that play.
Yeah,
release a filmed version, filmed performance. More people will buy it.
Moving on.
Yes.
J.K. Rowling unleashed a new website just before Christmas. It was a very nice surprise for several reasons. One, it's always fun for J.K. Rowling to sort of drop something on us without any warning. And two, the new jkrowling.com will remind you of her original website, which was her desk. Now, this one is not illustrated. It is this is kind of a real look at her desk. And it even has a secret link to a URL called jkrowling.com/blank-page. And this is her rumors denounced page. She doesn't have anything on it right now, but she says, well done. You've found the debunking button. I don't have anything pressing to denounce right now, but please come another time. Now, here's the thing about her new website. It's built on WordPress, for those of you who are tech savvy.
I wouldn't scoff. This looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. But my point is, it's easier for her to update. she can just log into WordPress now and post an update. I got the impression that with her last website and the one before that, she probably had to write to somebody to get it updated with stuff. Whereas I think this one, it's running on WordPress, which is very easy for non-tech savvy people to operate.
And if you look at it too, like the one that she had done with the one designed by Lightbringer that was Flash, or whatever, and it's just you have to draw a new area whenever you want a new area, or whenever the door opens and there's a hallway with a light, like everything you want, you have to like conceive and draw and code, and it's a lot, less clean than sort of being able to just make something a link and then linking to a text only, page.
Yeah, she said, a few years ago I resurrected jkrowling.com, but I didn't feel the same connection to the new design, and it showed because I hardly ever wrote anything for it. So I decided to start over. I wanted to bring my website back to what it used to be, something real and personal. This is a faithful representation of my writing desk, except that I haven't put on the bits of stale popcorn and biscuit crumbs that usually litter the surface. Everything looks a bit tidier and cleaner than it really is, but after all, it's only polite to make an effort for guests. The various objects littered around really do live in my writing room. Some of them have sentimental value, some are practical, and others have found their way in via friends and family members. J.K. Rowling, can I send you a copy of Never Sever Us for your desk?
Yeah.
It'll show up in the corner. There'll be a post-it note on it that says #WormTelly.
Just quite an outdated iPhone from the look of it too.
Yeah, that's an iPod Mini. I was just going to bring that up.
There you go.
It's one of the iPod Minis with a little touch screen on it.
I love that at the very top of the page on her Twitter screenshot is like an advertisement for The Voice. Like, I know it's not an advertisement. Like, she probably didn't. They probably don't give her any money for it, but it really looks like it.
At The Voice UK. I was actually surprised the top three tweets weren't political. I was very surprised when I saw that.
Great free, advertising for them.
How can you tell it's an old iPod or iPad? They all look the same from the front,
iPod Touch. That's an iPod Touch down there. It's not a phone or a tablet.
At the very top?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry.
No, at the bottom.
At the bottom. And it's not a Touch. It's a Mini. My bad.
Oh, that one. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm surprised it still doesn't have the dial, the scroll dial.
That was one of the last iPod Minis they did, I think. Anyway, so if you look carefully, like, she's got a lot of handwritten notes, and they're hard to make out, so there weren't really any revelations within these notes.
There will be.
There is a page from her Fantastic Beasts script. It does look to be an early version, which is interesting.
Yeah. This is a scene that doesn't exist in the movie, guys. And it's just, she's taunting us. I was so angry when I first saw this. And I love the new site. I absolutely do. But you know how they released the Fantastic Beasts script book, but it wasn't like the original. It wasn't like an early draft, right? It was the finished product. So there were no deleted scenes. This is a deleted scene. This is basically more dialogue and interaction with Narlac, the character voiced by Ron Perlman in the movie. And he basically, I guess, hits on Queenie, and there's a little bit more on his backstory. He says, "Yeah, I'm from the old country. My whole family's with Gringotts Wizarding Bank. They all into treasure and curse businesses." And, like, you can see why it's kept from the movie, but it's really, really cool because it's an insight into a scene that would have, we know exactly in the movie where it would have gone, and it's not here. And so it bodes well that J.K. Rowling chose to put this on her desk and be like sort of in your face about this type of stuff. She's always been very generous in what she reveals.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where the scene takes place. It's page 59 in this.
Oh God. About halfway then.
Yeah. And the other thing is, at the beginning, there's a scene here. Tina says to Newt, "Maybe I'll be good at being a criminal. I can't be worse than I was as an investigator." And Newt replies, "Don't say that. I think you're onto something with these second Salemers. I do." So.
Sounds like there was a lot more characterization to Tina in the script than there was in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe like even Newt taking an active interest in being like, "Oh, don't say that," like comforting her. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Funnily enough, right next to the script, this early edition of the script, is the final script book, the printed version that we all got to buy.
Just below it, yeah.
Sitting on her desk. Yeah.
It does not have that scene. Also, a really cool. Is that symbol? Does that mean anything to you guys? The coaster that's right next to the script page. It looks like kind of a beast or a swirl.
It's like a phoenix.
Yeah.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean? Tells the Beetle the Bard. Well, what I love, and Andrew, you mentioned the rumors debunk page, is just like on her old Flash site. To get to it, you click on a crumbled up piece of like newspaper, and it's just a wad of crumbled up paper. And as soon as you see it, it's so iconic. I don't know. I want to know the backstory of who she hired to like photograph, because it looks perfectly like the original.
Who she hired to crumple up the paper.
Eric just said a crumpled up piece of paper is iconic.
It is. Well, her door is iconic. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well,
that door doesn't exist. Okay.
Or does it?
Newspaper does exist. That door.
And the thing about the crumpled up piece of paper is that her original website, most people will know what we're talking about. Her very old website, which was so fun to browse, but it was messy, unlike this one, except for that crumpled up piece of paper. On the old website, and I'm looking thanks to Google image search right now, like there's crumpled up pieces of gum wrappers. There's like a trash bin page. I guess this was the rumors denounced page.
Rubbish bin. Yeah.
Yeah, the rubbish bin. Yeah, tons of crumpled up pieces of paper. So I think this is a reference to, it's a nod to that rubbish bin. So I like it.
She's got a couple extra stuff. She's got a drawing of an owl, which is adorable. I really want to know who drew that. And also a VIP badge, a lanyard to get into Brian Wilson Pet Sound's 50th anniversary tour, which is pretty cool. She's a Beach Boys fan.
Yeah.
Who is it?
I'm seeing on she had a bulletin board on her old website, and there's a picture of a dog, not the one on the new site, but there's also a drawing of an owl. So they took a bunch of elements and they
yeah, and there's like little plushy owls and a really cool, I guess, a peacock glass orb and a Pokemon.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know if that's a Pokemon, but it's very cute.
I'm pretty sure that's a Pokemon.
There's a tiny little sign towards the end that's like an arrow pointing up with a mark through it. I don't know if that's a symbol that is familiar or if...
I don't know. No, it didn't ring any bells here.
You know what? We also just overlooked. She has like an entire, it's like a chart of characters from the Cormoran Strike series, right? Tony Landry. Is that Lula Landry's relation from Cuckoo's Calling? Do you guys remember this? Do these names ring a bell if you've read
Landry does. Landry
Cormoran
does.
Strike, Dan Simpson, Evan Veckers, and it's character traits. So she's keeping you can't really read her writing, but it says like for instance under Tony Landry, divorced, distinguished, something. I'm sure there's websites out there that have already gone into this, but
yeah,
it's all there.
It's everything that she's busy working on. And I know too on Twitter there's been a lot of talk about the header graphic that she put up.
There's a skull in it.
Yeah, so on her Twitter page, if you go to twitter.com/ShakyRolling, you can see her cover art. And it's got like a skull on it, it's got a sword, it's got like a beach shell type of thing. It's got books. Let me scroll down to her tweet about that.
It's got a flute. It's got a, what's it called? The one that shows the direction.
Yeah,
it's the new Horcruxes. Really, it's Grindelwald's Horcruxes.
She said on January 5th, "It's hard to find a header that sums up everything I'm working on at the moment, but this painting comes close. It's by Harman Steenwick." So she's given us some clues. I'm guessing probably a reference to Fantastic Beasts 2 or 3, probably a reference to Cormoran Strike Book 4, and probably a reference or two to another project she might be working on.
Like, is it a compass that's there?
Yeah.
In the center. I like that. That reminds me of Newt, like traveling the world.
Well, how about the beach shell? Is she going to tell us a story from the ocean? That would be nice.
Where is the beach shell?
Isn't that
mermaids? That was Stephanie Meyer.
yeah. Stephanie Meyer promised us a mermaid story.
I see.
We never got it. How about those books on the right? A reference to the encyclopedia?
No.
Oh, this little book up in the top right looks like a copy of Never Sever Us. Interesting.
I'm sure the original artist 250 years ago had that in mind when he painted it.
Absolutely. So, Micah, on to launch her website, her new website, she shared a Q&A.
Yeah. So, and I think, and I can't remember honestly, but I'm pretty sure she also had an FAQ, frequently asked questions section, on her old site.
Yeah.
Similar to what you were saying with trying to debunk different rumors and theories that were out there, and she's always been good about answering questions that fans have, keeping it relatively so she doesn't spoil too much, right? I mean, I think she does a pretty good job of keeping fans informed, and so a lot of the frequently asked questions that showed up on her new website are less Potter focused, more Fantastic Beasts focused, and we put a bunch of them in there. There's a few more that are on the site that I don't think are as relevant. There's the one, of course, about why Harry didn't die in Chamber of Secrets when he was bitten by the basilisk. She still gets this question many, many times, it seems. So I don't think we need to revisit that. But as I said, a lot that focused on Fantastic Beasts. And the first one was, why couldn't Newt just apparate into the U.S.? Why did he have to go by boat? And she responded by saying that apparition becomes increasingly risky over long distances. As with most magic, much depends on the skill of the spellcaster. Apparition requires knowledge of the terrain to which one is moving or the ability to visualize it clearly. Cross-continental apparition would most certainly result in severe injury or death. Moreover, the beast in Newt's suitcase had varying magical natures. Some could have apparated with him, but others could not.
I have definitely seen this question a lot around the internet and in person, so I'm glad she answered that.
Yeah, me too. And also, it's just such a better opening to the movie to see him come in a boat and pass the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and wizards, like in general, in the books even, we always heard about them taking other forms of transportation besides from apparition because it doesn't feel very nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Harry didn't want to do it. He wanted to fly a broom. Maybe Newt just likes the boat, you know.
Newt likes the boat.
Yeah.
What else did she answer?
The next question kind of ties into that too, is why did Newt go through No-Maj customs? And she said that he was transporting magical creatures at a time when this was illegal. So he couldn't go the magical route. He said No-Majes were far easier to fool than the wizarding checkpoint would have been.
This is like, how do you get into Mexico, right? It's like, or Canada with your, if you want to take illegal chocolates, I guess, across the border. Is it the Canada border? There's a border that's very strict for, I think it's food, and I think it's Canada.
For beasts?
Yeah, well, like in general, it's funny because Newt takes the path of least resistance. Like we all would have done this if we were trying to get in. It's like, oh, we'll just fool the Muggles. They don't notice nothing, do they? So that answer pleased me greatly.
And then why couldn't Newt use accio to retrieve all of his beasts? To which J.K. Rowling said this, and there's actually a couple of different instances that people have responded with examples of when accio has been used on living beings. So anyway, but she says accio only works on inanimate objects. While people or creatures may be indirectly moved by accioing objects that they are wearing or holding, this carries all kinds of risks because of the likelihood of injury to the person or beast attached to an object traveling at close to the speed of light.
Whoa. Actually, you know what?
Speed of light is pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. I guess I never pictured accio working that quickly. Maybe she's exaggerating, embellishing a little bit. Because
woe is you if you're like someone accios and you step into like the path of the thing.
Even just like the shirt on your back, like it's just at the speed of light. So you have to be careful.
Accio is now like an attack spell.
Yeah, right. I like how scientific it is, right? Because she's like, close to the speed of light. It doesn't break it doesn't go warp, or clothes don't go warp. But it's also interesting because, we've seen it in the books, like Harry accios his broom from upstairs when he's on the Triwizard pitch. And, we see it flying, but we have time to see it flying. And if it were anywhere close to the speed of light, it would just be there. So I'm assuming it's an embellishment. But the point comes across. You'd injure anybody if you try to accio them.
Right. And I can't remember if it was on Twitter in response to this particular question. I had seen somebody mention the fact, and I have to double check it, but that Harry tries to accio Hagrid in Deathly Hallows when they're escaping from Privet Drive.
Accio Hagrid.
And he does it successfully. So that would kind of counter her argument here. And then Morgan over on Patreon said that J.K. Rowling, of course, says you can't accio living objects, but I'm rereading Order of the Phoenix, and in a charms class, when they're practicing a silencing charm, Harry's frog gets away from him, so he accios it back.
Oh my God.
I was happy with her answer at first, but now I'm even more confused after stumbling on this scene.
Wow. So J.K. Rowling did a boo-boo.
This is the problem with expanding and expanding and expanding. And you can't keep track of it all. And
yeah, I mean, it's not really like shame on her or anything. I think it's quite clear why Newt didn't accio, and I'm not even going to say, because it has to be a story in a movie. It would actually, because the beast would just come directly through, like the broomstick that was locked when Umbridge locked the brooms and Fred and George accioed, and they were still dragging the ball and chain. Like these beasts, it would kill the beasts if they were being thrown through walls, trying to get to entire buildings to get to wherever Newt was. So it's irresponsible.
Irresponsible.
It's irresponsible to accio a beast from far away.
And that would be noticed by No-Majs.
You'd break the statute of secrecy, which in 1920s America is much more and carries probably a death sentence.
Right. And like what Eric said, it's a movie. You got it. You need some.
There's 100 other good reasons why.
It's the same principle behind accio Horcrux. Except the books make things move much quicker, right? I mean, if that's all you had to do to solve the problem is accio Thunderbird, and then, Frank never got away, but one of the other beasts that escaped, the Niffler.
I wonder if the beast could fly against your accio, outfly your summoning spell.
So in Never Sever Us 2, which I plan to begin working on soon, should I be accioing? Should Albus be accioing Scorpius or not? Scorpius? I can't decide.
Let's go with J.K. Rowling's most recent position on the matter.
You can accio his Slytherin apron.
That's the world we're in now, aren't we? Whatever J.K. Rowling said most recently, that's canon. Everything else, forget it.
Honestly, that's an interesting point, right? But yeah. I think I get, without thinking of it, I said it, but I think that's probably how I feel now. As long as it's not little things like this I'm fine with. But now I think that however she feels or the answer that she gives are going to directly impact the world of the next few movies. And so basically I'm taking her at her word now versus before, because it'll actually lessen the blow when something occurs next recently, in the near future that ordinarily wouldn't mesh. So if she's actively correcting or changing things, I kind of want to help get used to it now, versus when the movie comes out and I come out of it saying, that movie sucked. She tried to accio a living person. So it's just kind of, I don't know.
But I mentioned the Niffler, and this is maybe by accident, but there did seem like moments in the movie where he was using something like accio to draw the Niffler to him. And I don't know if that was just maybe he was accioing the
coins?
Jewelry, the money that he was stealing or she was stealing. But there's a lot I'm sure that could be discussed on that particular question, but I agree. I'm content with her answer and fine with moving on. The next question that she answered was, why isn't Veritaserum used in interrogations? And she said, it is, but skilled wizards can avoid its effects by using antidotes and charms. A gifted
It's okay.
I can't say it.
Occlumens.
Yes, thank you. Could also resist Veritaserum. So, but doesn't this contradict what Snape says to Harry about even the Dark Lord would spill his deepest secrets?
Ooh, yeah. You could chalk it up to intimidation, right? Snape is just intimidating Harry because he's threatening. In that scene, he's threatening to use it on him.
But now this is her most recent answer, so we just have to go with this.
Well, no. I mean, that's actually it's a really good question. I like that she says you could resist Veritaserum if you're an Occlumens, because I like the idea that it's potion, yeah, and we hear of truth drugs that you can be injected with for interrogation in real life. But that if if you just have like a lot of fortitude, or if antidotes are a real thing. I like the idea that there are ways around it, that Veritaserum isn't the end all be all, but because Snape played it up so big, it does, I guess, leave a question. But then again, I mean, you look at where it was used, like Cornelius Fudge used it on Barty Crouch Jr., right? That was when they used it to interrogate him, and he clearly had not had either the skill or the wherewithal to resist. So you see it being used as like to force an easy confession, a quick confession, versus it actually being used because I guess the wizarding officials never quite had Voldemort in their custody, but it seems like slipping him Veritaserum would be too easy, even if they had gotten him. And same with Grindelwald. Like you have to kind of be able to resist it, otherwise he would have been telling everybody about his Horcruxes and this, that, the other. It just wouldn't work for the plot. For it to be too powerful of a potion.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys agree? Disagree?
No, I agree with that.
I think it makes sense that you would have wizards and witches that would be able to resist something like this, depending on how accomplished they are.
Which reminds me of the next question, too, about Graves.
We need to talk about this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why did Revelio undo the effects of Polyjuice Potion? And the answer was, it didn't. Grindelwald's transfiguration surpasses that of most wizards, so he used a spell, not a potion, to take on the appearance of Percival Graves.
David Yates.
I mean, look,
Amen.
Cursed Child in the final part of Cursed Child, a similar spell is used very flippantly. So, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised that this is now a canon thing that they can do. I think.
Well, transfigure, because they transfigure Harry to look in like Voldemort, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could say, but yeah, they're just like, oh, who should look like Voldemort? Oh, well, I'll do it, and then Hermione transfigures him to look like Voldemort, and that's it.
Yeah,
no Polyjuice Potion needed.
And then he starts changing back, so like it didn't last long.
Yeah.
Well, right? If it's a spell, it should not. If it's a spell, it should last longer than a potion, I would think. I don't know.
I would think so too, especially one by Hermione.
Potions get digested. Yeah. Oh, one by Hermione, absolutely. But dramatic effect.
Well, and the other reason this was worth mentioning is because a few weeks ago, David Heyman said that Grindelwald had used Polyjuice Potion. They just didn't include that part in the movie. So maybe Heyman was just pulling stuff out of his butt, not really knowing what J.K. Rowling had in mind. And perhaps that's why J.K. Rowling included this question in her new website Q&A. She must have read Hypable. She's a fan of Hypable, confirmed.
Clearly. But also
definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think this is the first chink in the glass of the blemish on David Heyman's, record, the first tarnish of him, because he's been really great, and he and Yates have been both just nonstop talking about the future of the Beast series, and we're going to have to revert back to, if J.K. Rowling didn't say it, don't take it as truth. If more of this comes out, and Heyman all out said it was Polyjuice Potion, which didn't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense. And here J.K. Rowling is dispelling it, so that's great. She's clearly got to rein in her dudes, her Davids.
Davids, come on.
Yeah.
Run this stuff by me. Or
talk to you.
Running your mouth.
This would probably lead us to believe that Graves is dead.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Right?
Because he doesn't need to keep him alive to transform into him?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have just locked him up somewhere or something. Is Grindelwald that mean? Yeah, I guess he is.
To what end? Yeah, I think that he uses people and discards them. He didn't care about if Credence, like the human Credence, survived the whole taking over the Obscurus thing. I think he probably killed Graves, which is a shame because that remains Colin Farrell's like one of his best performances, I think.
Yes, I just want Grindelwald to spend all his time in Colin Farrell's body for the rest of the movies, and then I would like it.
But the other thing to keep in mind is that he, oh my gosh, I just zoomed out. Oh, we're moving to other parts of the world now, so we don't really need Graves involved. Like,
right,
he works for MACUSA, and that is MACUSA. Unfortunately, even though we want to see them change, we want to see them, not hide from Muggles anymore. It seems like MACUSA and America are going to be less of a focus, at least in the next one or two Fantastic Beasts movies. So, all right, we got one more from Joe.
One more. Yep, one more from J.K. Rowling. The question was, why didn't Harry Potter ever develop an Obscurus? And the answer is, an Obscurus is developed under very specific conditions: trauma associated with the use of magic, internalized hatred of one's own magic, and a conscious attempt to suppress it. The Dursleys were too frightened of magic ever to acknowledge its existence to Harry, while Vernon and Petunia had a confused hope that if they were nasty enough to Harry, his strange abilities might somehow evaporate. They never taught him to be ashamed or afraid of magic. Even when he was scolded for, quote, making things happen, he didn't make any attempt to suppress his true nature, nor did he ever imagine that he had the power to do so.
Wow.
This is a little close for comfort, I think, on the part of Joe, right? Like being asked this question. It seems quite central to me. It's a very good question, isn't it? Like Harry was taught to that what he was bad, or that magic or being different was bad, but then J.K. Rowling's reply is, yes, he was, but not specifically magic. Like, he wasn't specifically told that magic was wrong, that what he was doing was wrong because he's magic. So she gets through it. It's a passable response. But I think
I think it is, but I also think it brings up a lot of new questions, because if this is how obscuri are made, then surely there would be like an outbreak of them, like back around the Salem age and in the medieval times, and when everyone were like actively afraid of magic and hunting witches and everything like that. Like, you would think that most children born into, Muggleborns would develop obscuri.
Well, I think there was an outbreak. I think that's why in the movie everybody's afraid by what they see. And I think that, but the whole, there would have had to have been an outbreak, because the line from the movie, I think it's President Pickery says, is there hasn't been an Obscurus in a century. They're quite proud that even in their backwards repressive society, they haven't been so horrible as to produce an Obscurus, right? Like, so I think the whole thing is there were probably a lot of them, but they haven't seen any in a long time because people have grown and they try and take extra care not to make one.
Yeah, and with Harry, I feel like he didn't know that he was a wizard, whereas Credence, I feel like, knew the abilities that he had, and he was knowingly suppressing them.
Yeah. Well, it checks out. But
I will say, though, I do feel, though, that the Dursleys, that would be the only point that I would disagree a little bit on, because I do feel that whether directly or indirectly, they were trying to suppress any conversation about the magical world, and then through that, any potential ability on Harry's part to do magic, they wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I guess if given a few more years, and Harry would have started to really freak out and realize, like, if his Hogwarts letter never came, and he really started to realize that he had some kind of modicum of control over the events around him, and if then they were to say that's wrong, but then even then he'd still sort of be too old to develop an Obscurial, if that's a thing.
Another question I would have is then how would the Horcrux and the Obscurus deal with each other?
Interesting. Who would win?
I foresee a sitcom with Harry's Obscurus and the little piece of Voldemort's soul in what we call it, Scrappy and which Scrap of the Soul, and what's a good word for Scrappy and Beastie? There we go.
So J.K. Rowling will hopefully be answering many more questions on her new website, and coming up on Bonus MuggleCast, we're going to be talking about what questions patrons want to see Jo answer on her website. But for now, we have a Twitter question of the week. This is unrelated, sort of. It says, what uncommon elements from the Harry Potter books or films do you want to see become important in the Fantastic Beasts series?
So we've seen a lot of... we've seen a lot of Polyjuice. It's overused. I've always said it's overused. They got to stop using Polyjuice, which I'm so glad that they did, because Grindelwald used it as well. But if there's less... Yeah, or did he? I don't know. Ask David Heyman. Ask David Heyman now what Grindelwald used.
No, he didn't use. He didn't. I'm just messing.
But, were there elements that you like from the books that aren't such a way that you want to see in the future? So that was our question. And what do we get for responses?
We got, friend of the show, Colin, says, just the daily life of a normal wizard, like fully grown, not in school. Oh. Yeah, well, with 5 movies, maybe we will get that.
Yeah. Inner Dialogue says, just what exactly are the 12 uses of dragon's blood? Ooh, deep cut. Actually, that might be relevant, because Dumbledore is the guy who discovered that. So maybe maybe Dumbledore, maybe Fantastic Beasts 2 will open with Dumbledore in a lab coat with Nicholas Flamel, just making his discoveries.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Right?
Yes. Oh.
Or he'll be at Oxford, Wizarding Oxford in the science department. And
Wizarding University, that's a whole discussion on its own.
Yeah.
Nolan said more house elf, goblin, ghost, and other non-human characters. Fantastic Beasts did this well, so did the Harry Potter books, but not the 8 Harry Potter movies. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Battlefront Podcast, a Star Wars podcast, says a Potter relative would be really interesting to see, or other families that are mentioned only by name in the books. Yeah, maybe some Pruitts here and there,
Abbots.
Abbots? Yeah, Abbots. Abbots and Pruitts.
Trust my rage. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I think younger versions of the families like that. I know I've sort of shared my dislike for Hagrid, but Hagrid's family, hell,
Yeah.
Go visit the giants and see his dad. That would be fun.
That would be
Agrippa.
That would be great.
Wait, no, it wasn't Agrippa. What's Hagrid's mom's name?
Frinda? I don't remember.
Fred Wolfa. Fred Wolfa.
Fred Wolfa.
Fred Wolfa. There you go. You got it. You knew it.
Nice.
Fred Wolfa or Wumpa. Is it Wumpa? Fred Wumpa?
Anyway.
Now you're just making shit up.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
Lauren says it would be interesting if one of Professor Slughorn's perfect Felix Felicis days would be a part of Fantastic Beasts somehow.
Ooh.
People were asking for more house representation, so Rebecca said more Ravenclaws because they took the backseat to the other 3 houses.
True.
Maritier said more Hufflepuff, a little more respect to this hardworking house, please. # Puff Pride.
More respect. Okay. I
don't know. Wait, just go back 2 questions ago. I mean, I think Luna was a pretty good representation of Ravenclaw, don't you?
Well, yeah. And people forget she's a Ravenclaw because it's not a plot element, you know?
Right.
Like, I mean, nobody really forgets, but it's not so much a matter of the story. Like, because when I've actually been in a discussion recently with a Ravenclaw, and I was like, "Oh, were you more of a Luna Ravenclaw or a?" And I was like, "What do you say, Cho Ravenclaw?" Because Cho's not the best character in the book. So, what's a brainy Ravenclaw that the story reflects upon positively? And I wonder if it's not the same situation we have with Hufflepuffs, where in the books they're just shown to be jerks, except Cedric Diggory. So you have Luna, but then what's the heady, brainy? Was McGonagall a Ravenclaw? Wasn't that set on Pottermore?
Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Was she? I know she's head of Gryffindor House. But I seem to recall her being a Hatstall or something. Anyway, Cody Niebuhr on Twitter says, Metamorph Magi. I'd love to see another like Tonks. And I wonder, I mean, that'd be cool, but it'd also be cool if Tonks were the only one we ever saw. Because you have that element in Queenie where she's an extra super powerful Legilimens, and I just hope that Joe and everyone else stays away from doing like extra super powerful transfigurers, metamorph magi. Like maybe that's what Grindelwald is. He's a metamorphmagus. He can change his whole face. So there's that.
Kaylee says another of the Beetle of the Bard stories becoming a key plot point like Tale of the Three Brothers was in Deathly Hallows might be interesting. That would be cool.
That's bold.
I
like that a lot. Yeah. it's Babbity Rabbity, everybody.
Yeah.
It's the center of the Fantastic Beasts saga.
Of course. The cackling stump, right?
Yeah,
that's the key to the whole Fantastic Beasts series.
Yeah, it's how Grindelwald got his power.
Oh my god, I would freak if that was true. And then Warner Brothers will be like, how can we adapt this into a movie?
That should be a 12-part HBO series, I've already decided.
The Cackling Stump?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not typical HBO. It would be like children's HBO. It would be like Sesame Street going to HBO.
No, they should make the stump an attraction at the Wizarding World.
What, you sit on it?
And it cackles.
Yeah,
it'll be roped off.
It takes a butt, and every time you sit on it, chuckles. All right, well, thank you to everybody who participated in that. We are hopeful. I think this is a good opportunity for J.K. Rowling to service the fans with these movies. Give us stuff we've been looking to see for a while. So, yeah. And follow us on on Twitter, twitter.com/MuggleCast. And you can participate in these questions, which we do pretty much every episode. Eric, you have an update on the P.O. Box front?
It still exists, and send us your mail.
That's your update? It says update.
Well, we got a Christmas card, but I mentioned it on the last episode, which was lovely.
Okay. You only got
one Christmas card the entire year, yes. But it's okay because it's 2017, and the P.O. Box, I don't know why that makes it okay. It's okay. You guys don't need to send us anything seriously, but if you were so inclined, it does exist. I will receive it. The address is 4044.
That's why nobody's sending anything.
44 North. Yeah, we don't say it enough. It's true. Our patrons will know because it's on the return address of their album art.
No, but... I'm saying nobody's sending anything because it's going to you. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Let's move to me.
Yeah, you can. I'm going to say the address in a minute, but also, if you want to send stuff for Andrew or Micah, I'll make sure they get it.
Just put attention Micah or attention Eric. Send Micah stuff.
Well, it has to say either MuggleCast or my name, otherwise it'll get rejected. But MuggleCast 4044 North Lincoln Avenue, Box 144. In Chicago, IL 60618.
Eric sounds like he really wants mail. Eric's really lonely over there in Chicago.
I publish on Twitter every time we get something cool. So
yeah,
that's an incentive.
Thanks again to our new sponsor, Blue Apron. You can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping, by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, you want ad-free editions of the show, you want to help us get to weekly episodes of MuggleCast, if you want signed album art, if you want bonus MuggleCast, go to patreon.com/MuggleCast. Last year was our first full year, and it's been really amazing having support of our listeners. So thank you, everybody who has supported us. Special shout out right now to those who are listening live in the chat. They're listening to us stream live about a week earlier than we are going to be releasing this episode. So they'll probably all want to listen again because they may forget what we talked about by the time this episode gets out.
Yep.
And we really appreciate the support. It's because of patrons that we are continuing to do the show at the frequency that we are doing. And it feels good to get everybody's support. It feels like, we're appreciated.
We had really, really, really strong 2016 for being 11 years after the podcast started, and totally encapsulating the excitement, the return of Potter. Our first year on Patreon was highly successful, and we all had a lot of fun. And our listeners who support us got a lot of great content. I'm sure you can hear from them about it. And really, just if you new year, new you, donate to us and support us at supporting us. You'll get some really cool stuff is all I can say. We guarantee it. We make it worth your while, and it's going to a good cause.
I'm going to add a new goal on Patreon where if we hit a certain amount, I'm going to burn my Slytherin sweater and convert back to Gryffindor.
Whoa.
People are not
you really don't care all that much about it. I knew it was just an act.
I'm just kidding. No, I like being Slytherin. I like being
What a very Slytherin thing to do, Andrew.
Betray my house. Ouch, you just insulted a lot of Slytherins.
Dude.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back later in the month with episode 309. And so, by the way, Selena, thank you for coming on the show. It's always wonderful having you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is always fun.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear that.
I always feel welcome.
Oh, of course. We love you.
Always are.
And you can listen to Selena weekly on Hype Podcast. You can find it on iTunes, on Hypeable, wherever podcasts are available.
At Hypeable Hype on Twitter.
There you go. All the places. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm Andrew.
Merrick.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Selena.
See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.